Police and firefighters and medics in New Jersey's capital city may soon be without radio service. Why? Because Trenton's mayor says the radio system is scheduled to be shut down on Halloween because they haven't paid their bills. I'm going to bring on Rania Mankarious right now. She heads up Houston's leading public safety nonprofit organization, Crime Stoppers of Houston. Rania, this is nuts. I mean, this is crazy. There are certain things that if you don't pay your bills should be taken away from you. But in this case here, you're putting public safety at risk.
Yeah, it's an awful situation. And the attorney for MPS Communications, mind you, is owed $218,000 and some change at this point for unpaid services, has said, look, you've put us in a terrible situation because we don't want to cut off radio communication, but there's no other business that operates with no contract signed and no payment for services. So it's a horrible situation, but guess who's going to pay for all of this? The citizens of Trenton, the law enforcement, the firefighters of Trenton. It's a horrific and horrifying situation. Our elected officials have to get it together, put it together, and find a solution.
And this is a feud between the mayor and city council president. So police and firefighters rely on the radio system to respond to calls. So the city owes its emergency radio provider $200,000, but the mayor says the city council president is refusing to pay the bill. In the meantime, you've got people whose lives depend on response time who are being sacrificed because you've got a couple public officials whose egos are clashing here.
That's pretty much it. And the mayor's come up with a new plan. It will cost $4 million. He said he's been using the MPS system since 2013. And the $4 million plan is supposed to be paid out of the American Rescue Plan. But the city council president doesn't like the idea, saying the mayor didn't give them enough information, and they'd rather just butt heads and let the current system fall. Now, there have been some complaints about MPS communication starting in 2019, but ultimately city officials, the chief of police, has said all in all the system's good, and they don't want to lose it. So what are you going to have? You're going to have a situation where you can call 911, but first responders can't communicate after that when they're live on scene. They can't share problems. They can't share changes. They can't do anything. A neighboring county is going to go ahead and give them about 130 handheld radios, but that's one. I mean, very kind of them, but two, it's just ridiculous. And it's not enough for, of course, the city, for every first responder to have one.
Talking to Rania Mankarious right now. She is Houston's leading public safety nonprofit. She leads at the organization Crime Stoppers of Houston. Rania, I want to jump over to New York City real quick. Okay, I don't know what's going on in Houston where you are, but New York City with these mandates, you've got thousands of firemen and policemen probably leaving the job today because they got to be vaccinated by 5 o'clock today. You've got the mayor, who I think is the worst mayor in America, de Blasio, insisting that New Yorkers can count on police and fire service because he says he has a backup plan. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't care what backup plan he has. If 1,000 or if thousands of firefighters and policemen walk off the job, response time is going to suffer 100%. I don't think there's anybody that can argue that. Your thoughts?
Well, I'm curious what the backup plan is. Let's just remember that de Blasio is like-minded with AOC, who last year or year before said it's time we experiment with public safety. And I don't usually talk about public officials, and I appreciate everyone who serves, but that comment has haunted me till this day because that's what we're seeing. Local elected officials are experimenting with public safety. They are changing bail system. They are letting violent offenders out and into the communities. They're, doing so many things that really do nothing for public safety, but calling it public safety measures. Texas, we haven't had these mandates where people are losing their jobs, but I know in other parts, New York being one of them, it's unbelievable. And again, it's a decision that people are going to suffer for. And I'll just quickly say this. I've never understood it. If you get vaccinated, and I'm not saying you should or shouldn't, it protects you, the person, from potentially dying from COVID. But vaccinated or not, you're able to transmit the virus.
Right.
So it's never made sense to me. It's not going to make sense to me. And we're all just so tired of the politics that has interjected its face into this and created a bigger mess.
It's all about ego and control. That's what it boils down to now. Rainey, always enjoy talking to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.